What would transpire if humanity's most profound spiritual secret, the very substrate of existence itself, were not merely discovered, but unveiled, only to be immediately and forcibly silenced? The year is 1943. The lifeless body of Nikola Tesla is discovered in room 3327 of the New Yorker hotel. The official record attributes his passing to a coronary failure. Yet, the individual who first crossed that threshold knew instantly that what had been halted within was far more than the cessation of a physical organ. It was a transmission, a stream of pure consciousness severed abruptly. Within minutes, government agents storm the premises and confiscate the entirety of his effects. Notebooks, schematic diagrams, prototype machinery, personal journals. However, among these artifacts, one item was conspicuously omitted from all official reports. A grimoire bound in leather, stamped with a golden geometric sigil, its pages emitting a faint violet luminescence even in total blackness. Its contents far surpassed mere equations. It encapsulated a frequency, an ancient vibrational pattern, a sound encoded into tangible form. It was not an invention of Tesla's, but a memory, an atavistic code. The very ink defied known properties, reacting to conscious presence with subtle alterations. More disquieting still, a series of glyphs within it matched exactly those described as hidden within the temples of Atlantis in the emerald tablets of Thoth. This frequency was not created. It was channeled, and Tesla was aware of its cosmic provenance. Thoth, the scribe god, master of initiates in ancient Egypt, spoke of a primordial word, a verb that sustains all of creation. A sound inaudible to the corporeal ear, but one that vibrates within the heart of those who are awake. Tesla did not record this sound. He transposed it into the physicality of that notebook, transforming it into a sealed vibrational portal, awaiting the consciousness that could activate its key. You are now on the verge of comprehending why this frequency was concealed for millennia, and how it is poised to reconfigure the very fabric of reality. Vibration is the root of all manifestation. He who masters vibration, masters form itself. If this opening about Tesla and Thoth has already resonated with a part of you that knows reality is far vaster than we've been led to believe, then let me know right now with a thumbs up. That thumb is not just a like. It's a signal. It's our silent handshake in the unseen, a way of saying, I am here, I feel it too, I am one of those seeking to remember. For those who feel this exploration deserves to go deeper, to be supported so we can continue to dig and bring you content that awakens, consider subscribing to the channel. It is the support that allows this frequency to keep vibrating. Colorado Springs, late 19th century. Tesla walked alone across the barren field, electrified by the clear mountain sky. There were no poles, no city noise, no nosy neighbors. He had chosen this place because he knew the sound would be pure, free from the interference of civilization. Here he would build his most daring experimental station, a tower, antennas, coils, wires buried deep in the ground. But what he sought wasn't electricity, it was listening. On one of the quietest nights of that winter, Tesla connected the experimental receiver directly to the ground. As he adjusted the frequencies, something completely unexpected happened. They weren't ordinary noises. He heard pulses, regular beats, like a heart thumping beneath his feet. And then a sequence of alternating rhythms, a deep breath followed by pauses, then an echo. Tesla, amazed, adjusted the circuits. That sound did not come from machines or external signals. It came from inside the Earth, but not like an earthquake or a geological phenomenon. It was articulated, almost alive. In the Hermetic tradition, the Earth is not seen as inert matter but as a pulsating intelligence, the anima mundi, a planetary consciousness capable of feeling, expressing itself, and even communicating with beings that resonate with it. This wisdom is found in the Corpus Hermeticum, which states that he who listens to the whispers of the earth can hear the secrets of the cosmos. Thoth defined this profound listening not with external ears, but with a heart in tune, a kind of vibrational hearing that precedes all language. Initiates called it the sound before sound, the primordial vibration that created all that exists. That night, Tesla heard this sound for the first time. He wasn't simply listening to any sound. He was capturing the sonic signature of a living being, the planet itself. And with this realization, a new understanding dawned on him. If the Earth was alive, then it was possible to communicate with it, or rather, resonate with it, synchronize with its heartbeat. The world was no longer a mechanical stage. It was a cosmic organism pulsating beneath his feet. And it was precisely at this point that something even more inexplicable happened. As he increased the sensitivity of the receiver, Tesla noticed that the sound was beginning to rearrange itself into patterns. The signals seemed to respond to his emotional intentions. When he was fully attentive, the sounds became harmonious. When he was distracted, they faded, as if some sort of non-linear vibrational communication were taking place. It was then that he became certain. There was something or someone trying to make themselves heard through that vibration, not through words, but through frequency. And that frequency carried a weight unlike anything he had ever studied. It was as if a forgotten part of reality was revealing itself, as if the Earth were singing a hidden code sealed for centuries, and now it was rising to the surface to be heard. But what Tesla heard that night was not just a simple sound. It was the first sign of the forbidden frequency that Thoth had tried to protect for millennia. And what would happen if that frequency were activated again? Reality is a musical instrument. That vibration Tesla detected in Colorado Springs echoed within him for weeks. It wasn't just a sound, it was a language, but not made of words, but of patterns. It was as if reality itself was trying to communicate, and from that moment on, he began to suspect something that went against all the classical science of the time. Matter is not fixed, it is not solid, it is not static. The world, however still it may seem, is made of movement, pure vibration, and every particle dances according to a specific frequency. Tesla then immersed himself in a new field of experiments. He began to test how objects, metals, plants, and even the human body responded to different frequencies, and what he discovered forever changed his worldview. Feelings generate vibrations, thoughts emit waves, intentions shape invisible fields, anger has one frequency, love another, gratitude yet another. He realized that everything in existence, from the tangible to the invisible, responds to these vibrations. The entire universe behaves like a musical instrument. This discovery resonated with an ancient principle of the Hermetic schools. In the emerald tablets attributed to Thoth, it is written, "Harmony is the law of all. Sound is the key that opens all doors." And it wasn't a metaphor, it was literal. Initiatory alchemy taught that the universe is composed of vibrational layers, and that by learning to emit the correct tone, one could influence not only the surrounding environment, but also one's health, one's emotions, one's destiny. Every vibrational note has a function. Some frequencies heal, others awaken, and some purify. But there are also sounds that disturb, that fragment, that unbalance energy fields. This is why the ancient masters insisted that true power lies not in emitting any sound, but in knowing the precise note, the one that aligns with the rhythm of the cosmos. This sound was called the creative word, an ancestral vibration that shapes reality and lives within every human being. Tesla then began testing his personal frequency. In deep states of silence and concentration, he realized that by modulating his emotions and breathing, he could change the outcome of his experiments. The coils became more stable, the antennas picked up clearer signals, and even more impressively, the environments in which he tested began to remember the vibration he emitted, as if he were retuning the very matter around him. This realization led him to a bold conclusion. If reality responds like a musical instrument, then we are the musicians. But to conduct this orchestra, but also one's health, one's emotions, one's destiny. Every vibrational note has a function. Some frequencies heal, others awaken, and some purify. But there are also sounds that disturb, that fragment, that unbalance energy fields. This is why the ancient masters insisted that true power lies not in emitting any sound, but in knowing the precise note, the one that aligns with the rhythm of the cosmos. This sound was called the creative word, an ancestral vibration that shapes reality and lives within every human being. Tesla then began testing his personal frequency. In deep states of silence and concentration, he realized that by modulating his emotions and breathing, he could change the outcome of his experiments. The coils became more stable, the antennas picked up clearer signals, and even more impressively, the environments in which he tested began to remember the vibration he emitted, as if he were retuning the very matter around him. This realization led him to a bold conclusion. If reality responds like a musical instrument, then we are the musicians. But to conduct this orchestra, but also one's health, one's emotions, one's destiny. Every vibrational note has a function. Some frequencies heal, others awaken, and some purify. But there are also sounds that disturb, that fragment, that unbalance energy fields. This is why the ancient masters insisted that true power lies not in emitting any sound, but in knowing the precise note, the one that aligns with the rhythm of the cosmos. This sound was called a creative word, an ancestral vibration that shapes reality and lives within every human being. Tesla then began testing his personal frequency. In deep states of silence and concentration, he realized that by modulating his emotions and breathing, he could change the outcome of his experiments. The coils became more stable, the antennas picked up clearer signals, and even more impressively, the environments in which he tested began to remember the vibration he emitted, as if he were retuning the very matter around him. This realization led him to a bold conclusion. If reality responds like a musical instrument, then we are the musicians. But to conduct this orchestra, invisible, we must learn to listen, learn to feel, learn to vibrate with precision. But not all frequencies are harmless. Some were hidden for a reason we are only beginning to understand. And what happens when someone encounters a frequency that should have remained sealed? It was precisely by realizing that certain frequencies had been hidden that Tesla began to direct his experiments beyond conventional frameworks. He already knew that every emotion vibrated within a specific range, but he wanted to delve deeper. He wanted to find a frequency capable of reorganizing the entire field. And it was during one of his states of absolute concentration that he began to notice something different. When he calibrated his oscillator to the exact frequency of 528 Hz, the environment around him seemed to fall silent. Not only did the external noise vanish, but so did his thoughts. Time slowed, and then images appeared, but they were not created by the logical mind. They were symbols, scenes, intuitions, like vivid dreams projected directly into his perception. Instead of generating noise, that frequency generated vision, clear, profound, intuitive. In the days that followed, Tesla maintained the same pattern. Each time he exposed himself to the 528 Hz field, his mind entered another state. He began to sense other people's emotions more clearly. His empathy increased, and most impressively, his physical health seemed to improve spontaneously. He slept less, concentrated more easily, and noticed an invisible harmony connecting everything around him. It was as if every cell in his body remembered something it had forgotten. Ancient alchemists called this frequency the golden sound. It wasn't just used as a healing tool, it was a true vibrational gateway. Egyptian priests chanted specific hymns during regeneration rituals, always centered on this frequency. It was considered the vibration of balance, of restructuring the field, and of reconnecting with the original matrix of life. In Hermetic terms, this frequency was a direct manifestation of universal love. Not romantic or emotional love, but love as a unifying force. The energy that restores the fragmented, that dissolves separation, that unifies. Thoth describes this force in his inscriptions as the sound that reconnects the fragmented to the whole. It teaches that chaos arises only when there is a loss of frequency, and that returning to the original vibration allows for healing without touch, regeneration without effort, reintegration without conflict, all through the harmony of sound. Tesla, experiencing this firsthand, understood that thought is not just an idea, it is a vibrational wave. And when that wave is guided by the correct frequency, it not only reaches others, but transforms them. The 528 Hz frequency was not just a sensory experience, it was an alignment, a kind of reunion with a forgotten part of consciousness. But something was strange. As powerful as it was, the 528 Hz frequency seemed incomplete, like a fragment of a greater sound. Yes, it generated harmony, yes, it healed, but it did not change the deeper structures of reality. Tesla sensed that there was something beyond, something older, more dangerous, and therefore hidden. However, 528 Hz was only a fragment, a shadow of the true forbidden frequency, the one that could alter the very fabric of reality. The numbers that open portals: 3, 6, 9. Tesla knew that the universe expressed itself not only through vibration, but through numbers. It was then that he immersed himself in a pattern that had accompanied him since his youth. The numbers 3, 6, and 9. For many, just numbers; for Tesla, the key to creation. It all began when he noticed that certain combinations produced unusual effects. When he tuned his devices in multiples of 3, the results changed. When he aligned his working hours in 6-hour cycles, his mind became sharper, and when he organized his notes in series of 9 columns, insights came more easily. It wasn't superstition, it was the field answering. But why these numbers? The answer lay in something ancient. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, had recorded that creation manifests on 3 planes: material, mental, and spiritual. 3 worlds, 3 primordial vibrations. 3 represents the birth of any form. 6 is the field where the form finds balance. And 9, the point where everything returns to its source. It is the spiral of consciousness completing its cycle. This same structure appears in the pyramids of Giza, where every measurement, every angle, every alignment obeys multiples of these numbers. The Temple of Luxor, the Zodiac of Dendera, the secret chambers of Saqqara all incorporate this code, not as decoration, but as vibrational architecture, as if sacred places were instruments for tuning between worlds. Tesla tested this with his own breathing, inhaling for a count of 3, holding for 6, exhaling for 9. What seemed like a simple exercise became the opening of portals. His perception expanded, his memories deepened, and he began to notice that by repeating the sequence for 9 cycles, something happened with time. The hours seemed to expand, the seconds slowed. And then he saw, not as an illusion, not as imagination, but as an open window. A calendar formed before his eyes. Dates that had not yet happened appeared as markers. Names, cities, events, some familiar, others yet to come. And the most frightening part wasn't what he saw in the outside world, it was what he saw in himself. And by applying these numbers to time, Tesla saw future dates unfold before his eyes, including the day of his own death. But something about that revelation seemed incomplete, as if that date weren't written, but programmed. And it was then that Tesla realized that time, the body, and matter aren't fixed entities. They are constantly shifting vibrational fields. And if there's a language capable of influencing all these fields simultaneously, it's called resonance. Tesla became obsessed with one specific experiment. His small mechanical oscillator, a device that fit in the palm of his hand, yet wielded enormous power. During one of his tests, he attached it to the metal framework of a building under construction and began generating rhythmic pulses almost imperceptible to the naked eye. At first, nothing happened. But after a few minutes, the scaffolding began to vibrate, bolts loosened, and the entire structure shook as if on the verge of collapse. It was just a shoebox, and that didn't make sense in conventional physics. But it made perfect sense in Hermetic principles. According to Thoth, anything that vibrates can be commanded, but only if your vibration is equal or higher. This is resonance. It's when 2 bodies, 2 consciousnesses, or 2 worlds share the same internal sound and can therefore communicate directly, without words. In traditional alchemy, this is called sympathy, not in the emotional sense. It's an invisible tuning, a harmony that transcends distance, time, and form. It's how certain plants heal specific organs. It's how certain mantras break emotional blockages. It's how a glance can soothe pain because everything vibrates, and what vibrates in tune merges. Tesla then understood that he no longer needed to use force, he no longer needed to break down barriers. He must find the exact frequency that causes every obstacle to transform from within, like a note tuning a crystal glass until it vibrates and dissolves without resistance. But his greatest discovery was yet to come. He wanted to know if the Earth, the entire planet, also had a sound, a fundamental tone, a vibrational heart. And if it did, what would happen if someone could vibrate in unison with it? And when they discover the Earth's own resonant frequency, what happens defies all the laws of physics. because the planet not only responds, but reveals, and what is revealed changes everything. Visualization, the forgotten laboratory of creation. The planet not only responds, it reveals. And what does it reveal? It awakens something within Tesla himself. During his high-voltage experiments, he decides to do the unthinkable. He deliberately enters a field charged with millions of volts. Any other human would have been vaporized, but Tesla, surrounded by his own harmonic field, emerges unharmed. It's not a miracle, it's resonance. His body doesn't resist the energy, it attunes to it. The current doesn't flow through him as it would through any ordinary conductor. It pulsates within him as if absorbed by a structure that knew exactly what to do with that charge. And in that moment, he understands something beyond science. The human body is an antenna, but not only that, it is a conscious transmitter. Tesla begins to measure the electromagnetic variations around the body as different emotions arise. Anger generates an unstable and fragmented field. Fear reduces its range. Love expands the radius and stabilizes the vibration. It was as if the emotional field sculpted the space around the person in real time. The ancients already knew this. In the Hermetic tradition, the body is the living temple of light. Thoth teaches that every cell carries a fragment of the original light, and that the body's electromagnetic field is the reflection of the soul in action. The Amenti initiates learned to shape that field with sound, visualization, and the vibrational silence. They didn't pray to something external, they sang to awaken what was within. Alchemy calls this structure the solar vehicle, not a physical body, but a vibrational one, an energetic double capable of travel, communication, transformation, and healing. Tesla realizes that the aura, once considered esoteric, is actually a living technology, and that by aligning this field with the Earth's resonance, perception expands. And it is precisely in this expanded state that he captures something no machine has ever been able to record: the energetic memory of the planet. Not just data or images, but emotions stored in the Earth's field. Pain, joy, fear, wisdom, all vibrating like invisible layers. And as he tunes more deeply, he realizes that the Earth remembers, and part of what it remembers is about him. But by merging his field with that of the Earth, Tesla accesses something no machine has ever been able to capture: the energetic memory of the planet. And what he sees there is not the past, it is an instruction. This instruction arrives not in the form of a voice, nor as text, but as a living image, as if the planet were projecting a blueprint directly into Tesla's mind, a structure that was not merely physical, but symbolic, energetic, universal, a tower. Initially, he doesn't understand it, but the more he observes, the more it reveals itself. Not as an ordinary building, but as a catalyst, a bridge between frequencies, a column capable of transmitting energy wirelessly, without loss, without limits. But above all, with one essential detail: it vibrates in sync with the emotional field of whoever activates it. Tesla finally understands that the mind is not just a place of thoughts, it is a transmission station. Visualizing is not dreaming, visualizing is coding. When he visualizes a machine, he doesn't create it from scratch. He attunes himself to something that already exists on the vibrational plane and that, through clarity, manifests itself on the material plane. This principle is described by Thoth as the gaze of the solar falcon, the ability to see beyond matter and shape the invisible with precision. The great initiates didn't need tools, they needed clear vision. Alchemy called this mental generation. The invisible is first constructed in the vibrational field, then it solidifies as reality. Tesla began to realize that many of his inventions weren't random mental creations. They arrived ready-made because he had already seen them, not with physical eyes but with the internal antenna of his own body. And this tower, this structure, was the most powerful of all because it didn't just transmit physical energy, it transmitted intention. But that same tower also carried a warning. And in one of those states of mental expansion, he saw a tower that could liberate or control all humanity. Everything would depend on who was the first to tune into the forbidden frequency. And Tesla knew it. With this quiet, almost prophetic certainty, he stepped away from the spotlight. He withdrew from the applause and the academic chairs and immersed himself in a fertile silence. But this silence was not empty. It was a hidden laboratory where his mind not only created, but remembered. Tesla stopped building machines. He began building vibrational portals, instruments that didn't just emit waves, but connected dimensions of consciousness. His first creation in this new cycle was called the consciousness amplifier. At first glance, it looked like a simple capacitor attached to an oscillating field, but when activated, it created a state of expanded perception where time and space dissolved. The user's mind expanded as if traversing previously invisible layers of reality. It was as if thoughts ceased to be mere ideas and became a living, tangible presence. Shortly thereafter, Tesla developed the emotional resonator, an instrument sensitive to the human vibrational field. It didn't just emit sound, it translated emotions. When touched by someone out of balance, the sound became harsh, almost sickly. But in calm hands, it vibrated like a crystalline song. Tesla began testing his theory that music isn't just made of notes, but of states of the soul. It was possible to hear an intention, to sense a thought. The culmination of this journey was the dream synthesizer, a device that synchronized with brain waves in the REM state and adjusted the vibrational frequency of sleep. The effects were immediate. People reported lucid dreams with unfamiliar symbols, encounters with beings of light, and sensations of cellular healing. Some woke up crying, others with ideas and answers they had never explored. It was as if the machines were opening portals to other layers of the self, regions of the collective unconscious, described only by the masters of the Hermetic tradition. But all this awakened something deeper in Tesla than the euphoria of discovery. He began to feel fear because he realized that the same instrument that amplifies can also imprison. If these machines were used by someone driven by a desire to control, they wouldn't liberate people, they would shape consciousness. They could alter emotions, manipulate thoughts, implant ideas like invisible traps disguised as healing. It was then that his crisis began, and he remembered the words whispered in the tablets. All power without the heart becomes a chain. In the Hermetic tradition, no technology is neutral. Every creation carries the vibrational intention of whoever activates it. Even light, when used arrogantly, can blind. Tesla understood that his inventions touched the same sacred fields as the light rituals practiced in the temples of Atlantis, where only the pure of heart could use the primordial sounds without being consumed by them. He realized that this wasn't just science, it was a spiritual legacy. And so he made the most important decision of his life. He hid his greatest project, not with physical safes or locks, but with vibrational codes, layers of frequency that could only be accessed by someone who had reached the same state of consciousness as he had, because this technology could not be deciphered with logic, only with vibration. And that was when the true secret emerged, because what he discovered was not a machine, it was a memory, a primordial note, something that had always been there, waiting to be rediscovered. Bringing together all his experiences, his experiments with electromagnetic fields, his tests with the love frequency, the patterns of 3, 6, and 9, his profound states of visualization and mental devices, a single truth emerged. Everything emanated from a common point, a soundless yet absolutely real note, a silent vibration that could not be heard with the ears but that made the heart tremble, a subtle presence that did not come from outside, but from within. Tesla then understood what Thoth had always tried to protect. There is a word, a source vibration, the root sound that not only creates the universe but sustains it. It is the foundation of all reality, present in every atom, in every particle of light, in every cell of the body. But it can only be perceived when there is total alignment between thought, feeling, and presence. The corpus hermeticum describes this frequency as the word that moves substance. Alchemy calls it the sound of the source. And Tesla saw that everything he had built so far was only a map, a blueprint for returning to what had already been experienced in his own heart. And this frequency cannot be taught, it cannot be transmitted by another, it can only be activated from within, because it is not a sound, it is a state of being. And this state, once reached, reorganizes life, health, time, matter. It heals without medicine, teaches without words, transforms without effort. That is why it was called forbidden. Not because it was dangerous, but because it requires vibrational maturity. Because wanting is not enough, you must vibrate. And this vibration arises only when the entire being is cleansed in coherence, when the ego is silent and the heart takes command. It is imperceptible to the inattentive, but for those who awaken, it is like thunder in the silence, a revelation that needs no explanation, only to be felt. And the most extraordinary thing is that this frequency does not belong to Tesla, nor to Thoth, it belongs to you. It's your vibrational legacy. It's already pulsating in your chest with every heartbeat, every breath, just waiting for the moment when you finally remember to listen. If you've made it this far, then something inside you has already begun to resonate differently. And if this journey into the forbidden frequency has touched your soul, then your action carries weight. Leave a thumbs up so YouTube understands this unique content deserves to exist. Write "awakening" in the comments if you felt this knowledge stir something ancient within you. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Join our circle. This subscription is more than a number. It's a spark that tells me I'm not speaking into a void, but to a family of awakening souls. Your simple gesture gives me the strength to keep searching and sharing. Thank you. Thank you for your time, your curiosity, and your courage. Carry this frequency in your heart, and may each day remind you of the immense power sleeping within you. See you soon.